I may be the dumbest person in the world, but today in this video we're not going to be talking about the ones who made the headlines, we're not talking about the Hoglanders and the lacrosse goals, we're not talking about the Lafrenières and the 4-point games. In fact, it's weird because those are the two most recent players I talked about in my videos uploaded in the past few days. But instead, we're talking about a player who didn't have the spotlight this game, and who wasn't all too great in today's performance in the World Juniors. I'm only talking about this player now because I didn't have a chance to do that earlier. Of course, I was on vacation traveling around. Getting back home yesterday, I did have to settle things down, reassess my life, and organize my action figure collection, because that's a pretty big thing within my life. So it was a hard day's night yesterday. I was working like a dog, and then I was sleeping like a log. Therefore, I didn't have the time to talk about this player before the World Juniors actually began, so let's do that today. Let's talk about Cole Caufield. Now, the Americans just wrapped up their first game against Team Canada, and it wasn't an all too great performance by Caufield specifically. And what I mean by that is, if you watched the game and you watched how things were going along, Cole Caufield wasn't necessarily deployed in the way that most Montreal Canadiens fans would have wanted him to be. He was more in a depth role, he wasn't necessarily given the big minutes, he wasn't even on the first power play, which was quite interesting to see. Caufield himself was not necessarily the best. He did have some looks at the end during the empty net segment for the Americans, which I was very, very happy to see that he was actually being given the opportunities. But for the most part, his line was mostly a dump and chase kind of line, and as a guy who's only 5'7", you're not really going to get the most out of a guy like that. He's not an incredibly amazing guy at retrieving the puck along the boards, but he's not supposed to be. He can do that, but he's not as good at that as, let's say, a Capo Caco kind of is. So this first game against Team Canada was really not amazing for Cole Caufield, but that doesn't discredit the fact that he is probably the Americans' best shooter. And that's crazy to say because Arthur Kaliev is on that team, but fact of the matter is here, there's still a lot to talk about with Caufield, and in fact, I haven't made a Caufield update video in a few weeks, so I thought that this would be a good opportunity to actually do that because we are on the topic at the moment. For those saying that Cole Caufield is not going to be an impact player and that he's not all that great and that he's going to amount to nothing in the NHL because of this game specifically, please just stop talking. Cole Caufield in this game, he had a bad game, he was misused in this game, and this one game is not going to be a reflection of his entire career in the NHL to come, and B, the rest of his World Juniors in general. The guy's gonna get some more power play time, I guarantee it. The guy's gonna get some more points, I guarantee it. It's just this one game where things were kind of whack. But Cole Caufield today is sitting at 20 points in 18 NCAA games, which is still a really good number. Like, I cannot stress enough how for an 18-year-old who's only 5'7", being over a point per game at the halfway mark of the NCAA season is a really good sign. 20 points, 18 games played, 12 goals too, for the University of Wisconsin Badgers. And Caufield, coming into this game, was the leader of Wisconsin Badgers points. Linus Weissbach is over there with 16 points, he's second, and Alex Turcotte is just under a point per game with 15 points in 16 games played. Yeah, Alex Turcotte, that guy who was given some really good power play time and who was able to dangle through guys, feed it off to Zegras, and who in turn fed it off to Kaliev for a one-timer. What a crazy goal, by the way. That was incredible. Turcotte and Zegras coming back together, and honestly, they're only missing Caufield and Jack Hughes for things to be really reminiscent of that 2018-2019 U18 US NTDP squad, because that was crazy good. They got Knight in there. Cam York is here, but he was scratched. And Zegras was here, Caufield was here, Turcotte was here. They're just missing Vlasic, who didn't make the team, and Jack Hughes, who is in the NHL doing other things. But it was kind of unfortunate to see the fact that despite Turcotte and Zegras reuniting on that power play, Caufield wasn't really being given the opportunities, which is why I stressed that things will change. Even towards the end of this game, Caufield was out there on the 6-on-5 and the empty net situation. So I think as the tournament goes on, Caufield will really start to find his game. Because overall, Caufield as a player, if you watch him a lot, you kind of understand that you don't really notice Caufield all too much until he becomes really, really dangerous. He's kind of like a perimeter, cerebral assassin-like player, and you don't really notice that he's out there doing the things that he's doing until he gets the puck on his stick, lets one go, and he says it's time to play the game, baby, because that's all it takes for Cole Caufield to get on the board and show off his dangerous hockey traits. The guy's a really good hockey player, but you're not going to notice it by watching his entire game log. He's not really the player who is similar to an Alexis Lafreniere, where every single shift you notice him making a difference. Caufield is just the guy who goes out there, does his thing, and then once he gets the puck on his stick, and once he has that space, boom, he's in, he's scoring, and he is dangerous. And it's just that in this game, we didn't see that dangerous come out to play because he wasn't given the opportunities, nor was he given the ice time, nor was he given the puck, pretty much. The guy wasn't really given the passes because they just dumped it and chased it the entire time. But regardless, Caufield did not have an amazing game, but that's okay. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if things got changed up immediately and Caufield was given that opportunity later on, because he was playing with John Beecher and Jack Drury today. Drury is a guy that I was really a big fan of in the 2018 NHL Entry Draft because he was a two-way guy and I saw a really good potential stock out of him. John Beecher is kind of in that same vein, where he is more of a checking kind of player, and those two combine for a really nice shutdown line. It's just that Caufield isn't that. So it was really interesting to me to see Caufield being deployed with Beecher and Drury. And in my opinion, I was really looking forward to seeing Caufield reuniting with Turcotte and Zegras, for example, or maybe even with a Nick Robertson, or with a Bobby Brink, or with a Kaliev, or whatever, because seeing everything work the way it did, I was taking a look at the potential and taking a look at the offensive strides that this team could make if you played the offensive guys with the offensive guys. No disrespect to Ford or Pivanka or Hall or whatever, but Caufield playing with these guys, in my opinion, would have been much more deadly. So, I see things changing. I don't see Caufield playing with Beecher and with Drury this entire tournament, because if he did, then I would be very, very surprised. But Habs fans, don't worry, because this World Juniors is going to see a lot more of Caufield, and in fact, we're going to see a lot more of many Habs prospects here in this tournament today. Romanov was playing as well. I didn't talk about Romanov at all in this video, despite the fact that he did play. And speaking on the veins of Team Russia, I'm also a Canucks fan, so talking about Vasily Podkolzin also is something that I need to do eventually. He had a pretty good game for Team Russia earlier today as well. But in general, this is just a crazy packed time because there's so much going on, so many stories to talk about, so many things to bring up in these videos right here that I'm going to be very overwhelmed with the World Juniors content going on. We already talked about Hoglander 2 days ago, we talked about Alexis Lafreniere yesterday, and these two turned heads like crazy on this day. But it's all nice. It's all nice to see, and we're hockey fans for a reason, right? We gotta keep up with all this stuff, and the NHL is coming back in like a weekend, so we just gotta pay attention to everything going on, and I'll try my best to stay on top of things as best as I can. Not gonna see if I can try and make a video on every single little piece of news, but whatever stands out to me, that's what I'm gonna talk about. It's always been like that, and for today, The one who didn't make any headlines, the one who didn't get on the score sheet, and the one who didn't have their best game is the one we're talking about today. Cole Caufield is going to be better, believe me. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Social Slaying 9, and bye.